Hey there, guys. Thanks for hanging with me. Don't ask me how that happened, but yeah, technology. So we are back. I hope we're all coming back. Thank you for finding your way back there. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but you guys all found me. So we're back. We're back. And okay, so what I wanted to do is hear a little bit about the quick answers to some of these questions. And I thought it was a good idea. Oops, hold on here. I thought it was a good idea. While I was listening to you, I was also kind of, I think, probably trying to do too many things at the same time. And I updated the page a little bit because I realized, so I heard James say something like, you know, it would really be nice to have some simple ideas that just kind of get burned into your head so that anytime you're using copyrighted material without payment or permission, you're asking the right questions, or you're helping your students to ask the right questions. And I thought, okay, yes, so there you go. So there they are. So the easiest way to become metacognitive about your use of other people's copyrighted work is to ask 3 questions in making a fair use determination. You could ask about the nature of the use, the purpose of the use, the effect on the market, and the 4 factors. You could, but really these 3 questions go a long way and are a lot easier to understand and really do reflect the spirit of the law. So the first question is, did my use of the work repurpose or transform the copyrighted material? Did I add value? Right? So the courts have acknowledged that sometimes when you use other people's creative work, you use it in a way that creates something new. The second question, did I merely retransmit the original work? Could my work serve as a substitute or replacement for the original? So the kid who makes a Beyonce formation music video, right, where the kid does new dance moves over Beyonce's great song and posts it online, that child is going to get a takedown notice and or be sued because her video could be a substitute for the original work, right? So that's not a fair use. That's not fair at all. If your work can be a substitute for the original work, then you're not really doing anything transformative, right? And then that's a copyright violation. And finally, did I use just the amount I need in order to accomplish my purpose? If you use the whole film when you really could have used just a scene, if you're making a documentary, then using too much of somebody else's film in your film isn't fair, right? But it works a little bit to be medium specific. If you want to use a photograph of, let's just say, a protest march from the 1960s, you can't just use one corner of the photo. That's ridiculous, right? Sometimes you have to use the whole work. And so when we talk about the importance of context and situation to making a fair use determination, that's what we mean. We mean that you have to consider the context and situation with those big, big underlying ideas. So the question I have for you, I don't know which team tackled this, what's the purpose of copyright? Anybody answer that in your group? What's the purpose of copyright? That's the first question and the easiest one.
We answered that in our group.
Okay.
So it was interesting because we had all talked about how our experience with copyright was previously, you know, we had focused more on the creator, right? And so our interpretation of copyright originally, before reading the book, was really to protect the author and the creator, and we really had like no understanding of what it's intended for in regards to like the consumer. But the purpose, I guess, would be, as like the Constitution it was lays out, is to like spread or promote the spread of knowledge, right? Which was kind of interesting to read about. I'm a history teacher and I didn't realize that was in there, which is terrible, but it was good to read about.
Well, you know, Kristen, I think it's not surprising. Where would you ever learn about copyright law, right?
Right.
Well, you learn about it from media industries. And let me think now, what approach to copyright might they be interested in communicating? Well, that it's all about their rights and you should pay them every time you use, and that you don't have any rights as user, right? So it's really interesting around how biases in the way copyright gets taught and talked about represent the point of view of the publisher, when we absolutely know. I mean, that's the coolest thing about copyright law, is how it balances the rights of the author with the right of the user, right? And in the book, we learned that if copyright didn't balance the user's rights with the author's rights, then copyright law would actually restrict freedom of expression, the First Amendment, and therefore copyright law would be unconstitutional. So in order for copyright law to be constitutional, authors need protection. And of course, I learned that a long time ago as an English literature major, because, you know, I wrote papers and I'd be quoting Emily Dickinson said blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I never thought twice about quoting in my own creative work. That's clearly the way you create new knowledge. But somehow when it comes to multimedia, we don't feel so comfortable about that. And one thing that I love about learning about copyright in my adventures of learning is that the law doesn't discriminate. There's no place in the law that it says video is this way and film is this way and photos are this way and books are this way. Copyright law treats all forms of creative expression that are in fixed and tangible form as subject to the same law, right? Including dance notation, you know, architectural drawings, you know, all kinds of cool things. So most important thing to understand, the purpose of copyright is to protect creativity, innovation, and the spread of new ideas, and that the courts have to balance the rights of the author and the user, right? Now, to really say that you kind of got the full, I don't know, the full pleasure of learning about copyright, because people don't think it's a fun topic, but damn, it's a fun topic, right? So we have to do the sing along, all right? So scroll up here. We're going to do the sing along, and you're all gonna sing along. So first, over here, open up the lyric sheet, right? Okay, open up the lyric sheet. I'm going to share my screen to make sure you guys have the lyric sheet there, right? There's the lyric sheet. Open it up in a separate window, all right? And now we are going to sing along to the music video, all right? Don't be shy, because this is really it's one of those goofy traditions. My students and I always sing this song together, and you guys are no exception. We're singing it together. So give me a thumbs up if you got the lyric sheet out in front of you, so you can sing along. You do not have to sing in key, right? But you got to sing along. Ready, set, we're gonna sing. You can blast it loud if you want. It's rock and roll. Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. No permission.
Quote copyrighted material without permission. For society. Fair use has many strengths. Most of all, it is flexible. Some people find it too vague because it is contextual in situation.
You must think of these four factors.
We can use your copyrighted material
Without permission or paying a license fee.
Copyright holder benefits for society. How
Well, I know
applies to my situation?
you must think of these four factors: the nature use, the purpose of the use, the amount of the use, and the effects of potential markets. Important factors. Transformativeness, add value, without permission or paying a license fee. Lessen the benefit of society. So when you quote a copyrighted work,
They're so fast.
Just ask yourself, did I repurpose? Did I add value? Did I repurpose myself? Why did I use it? Is it different from why it was created? If it was, it's probably fair use. Did I add value to the original in terms of value? If I did, then it is fair use.
copyrighted material without permission or paying a license fee.
And the cost to the copyright holder.
Oh my goodness.
How long do you save these and you compare them year after year?
You guys were the best.
Oh,
You guys were the best. You rock. You rock. All right. So we got some big ideas there, right? Part of the fun of making that animation was having to figure out how to get the story of copyright down into a 3-minute rock song. So yeah. Add value, repurpose. So good stuff. So good stuff. Okay, so you probably absolutely understand why the topic of copyright is so relevant to our course on digital authorship, right? Because you will be remixing for the rest of your life because you're living in a culture that has an endless and ever-changing array of stuff, of creative stuff that people make, right? So a good understanding of copyright and fair use is absolutely essential for being a digital author and being a responsible user of copyrighted materials. Okay, so we talked a little bit already about the Leap 3 collaboration, and I only have 10 minutes, but I want to make sure that you're now starting to think about your final paper and project, right? Because if you think about it, like let's go down to the bottom of the sheet here, right? Coming up next week, woohoo, spring break. Whew. The week after that, Leap 3, your collaboration with your partner. And then March 27th, email me with a plan for your final paper or project. So I want to talk a little bit about the paper and project, and I want then to have a little, like a brainstorming Q&A. One thing to think about for your final paper project is it's the work that you can do in 4 weeks. It's April. let's call it your April project, right? So the final paper project needs to be a relatively modest, doable project that helps advance your leadership and skills and expertise, right? So one of the things that we should look at when we look at the final project is how open it is. Because my experience is adult learners do best when they can make and create and learn the things that help them be the best professionals they can, right? So I've set out a basic overview of the paper project, and I'm going to walk through it here. Then I want to talk through it, talk questions. The first thing is that you have a lot of options. You should be doing something for the final project that is of interest to you, right? And it should be somehow connected to the themes and issues explored in the course. So at the end of the month, on March 27th, you're going to propose a topic to me in an email. If you want, you can work with a partner, and your final paper project could be a team project, or you can do it individually. As a culminating activity, you will be creating an Ignite video presentation, a Pachakacha, that describes your paper or project and post it online. And if you go online using the hashtag EDC534, you get to see every teacher who's ever taken this class has made one. So there's a ton of examples out there. It's a 5 or 6 minute overview of your project. So one option, if you're like me and you're headed toward being an academic, God damn it, write a research paper. Spend the month of April doing something where you read and synthesize and explain what you've read in the form of an academic paper that could be presented to a conference. 12 to 15 pages or 12 to 25 pages. It's basically delving deeper into a topic of interest to you using the format of the scholarly paper. We academics, we think writing research papers is a great way to learn. It forces you to read carefully and then explain your understanding of something, right? And therefore you owning the knowledge. Your second option, you can choose to develop a creative project like a video, a podcast, or some other kind of media product. After all, this course is called Digital Authorship. If you do a creative project, you'll also post a reflective essay that kind of shows us the behind the scenes of your production process, right? So if you make something, then you'll have a little essay that describes the reflecting on the making experience. Option 3, a curriculum project. If you choose to develop a curriculum project, you'll create the materials, right? The lesson plans, the materials, maybe a sample of student work, and you'll basically create the stuff for the lesson plan. And that's posting that to your blog is your project. Or check out option 4. It's called The World is Your Oyster. Yes, choice matters to adult learners. If you want to analyze some of the teacher-created work from the Summer Institute, or take a close look at the reflections of the teacher-produced final screencast reflections, we've got stuff for you to look at. If you want to dig into some other project of your own design that doesn't fit into the categories above, email me or schedule time for a conversation. In general, it's going to look something like this. At the end of March, you're going to signal to me a rough idea of what you think you're going to do. And a month later, you're going to produce a screencast, a 5 or 6 minute overview of your project. And the week after that, your final paper or project is due. Many students have told me that this production project, having to synthesize their ideas into a 5 or 6 minute Pachakacha, is like a really great way to as you're moving through this process to like actually get stuff done, right? So because then you only have another week to pull it all together. How will I evaluate the final paper project? 3 criteria. I'll ask myself, does your work substantially relate to the topics, issues, and ideas explored in the course? And are you making connections to what we've been learning from the course readings, discussions, and activities? Is the content and format appropriate for graduate level work? Does your work enable you to demonstrate one or more of the core learning outcomes for this course? So there's the, as listed in the syllabus, the kind of goals of this course. So if it doesn't fit, then you should probably save that project for another time. And you know, is your final product well produced? Does it have strong content? Is it coherent, creative, and complete? Does it use the conventions of whatever? If it's a lesson plan, does it match the conventions of a lesson plan, right? If it's a mini documentary, does it match or public service announcement, does it match the conventions of the genre? And is it professional and polished? And have you tweeted a link to it using the hashtag? I've given you 3 worked examples from a couple of years ago that are examples of students who did different kinds of things: a curriculum project, a research paper, and an action research paper. So those, I think looking at those will give you a lot of ideas about your work. Okay, we just have a few minutes left for questions. What questions do you have about the final paper project? Oh, Mary, I'm seeing that sigh, girl. Look at that. Oh, she's freaked out. Okay, so let's just do this. We're going to take your temperature. 5 means you're like, hot damn, excited about this final paper project thing. Isn't it awesome? And 1 is, holy fucking shit, this is terrible. I can't believe I have to do this. All right, just put up the fingers. Let me see. I'm counting. Fingers, fingers, fingers. Some people are happy, some people are in the middle, but nobody's completely freaked out. Okay, that's cool. All right, I'm happy about that. If you guys have questions, what's the best way you could ask those questions?
Right now?
Twitter.
Twitter. Yeah, right now. Right now. Or Twitter.
Twitter.
Anyone have a question right now?
I have a quick question just from the reading. I thought it was interesting, as I never owned a DVR, but I think it was in the book somewhere that you're using DVRs and piecing together, you know, to help with narratives and storytelling, and to, you know, use whatever film to depict whatever message. And I also, I was interested in doing that down the road, but what are the parameters of how much time we're allotted to do that? And I know that there was like also mentioning of, you know, if whatever film or whatever you're editing or you want the students to take, they're gonna, you know, it has to be almost confined to what the classroom time is, as opposed to like, you can't, you know, a 2-hour video would not, you know, is more oriented towards what college level because of the time transfer between class, if you know what I'm saying, what I'm trying to pull from the reading.
I think what you're talking about is the idea of a clip compilation reel, right?
Yeah.
Where to teach something, you might pull together little clips. Now we tend to call that a playlist, right? A playlist where it's a sequenced order of video materials that you're creating for a certain purpose and you're using in a certain way. If you want to do that as a lesson plan or activity, James, that's a cool final project, right? Okay. So there's that. We can talk more if you want, if you have other questions, but you might explore the idea of playlists for learning, or clip compilation reel. That's the kind of term we often use for this work. So now that I only have a little bit of time, I want to talk with you about what I want you to do. It won't be for next week, because next week is our spring break, but it's for the week after next, right? So here's what I'd like you to do before our next class, which is, wow, March 20th. Can you believe it? Our topic question for March 20th has to do with voice, agency, process, product, and power. We're asking these two questions. What are the power dynamics of digital authorship? And how is youth creative authorship inflected by the expectations of teachers, mentors, and guides? So really there's just one thing I'm going to ask you to do. You're going to do some reading, you're going to do some viewing, and then you're going to try to put that together on the Moot Digital Learning Board. So those two questions, after viewing and reading, use the Moot Digital Learning Board to identify key ideas from the reading that enables you to compare and contrast the two videos. I've given you a bunch of different things to read because you come from different backgrounds and you have different interests, right? So there's 7 different choices. They have different writing styles. They're writing about different kinds of projects. Pick 2 from the list. Then watch both videos. Both are about African American men and issues of representation. Watch both videos and consider the questions that come up in the videos in relation to the issues that come up in the readings, right? And identify key ideas from the reading and the videos and see if you can figure out how they fit together. We're really talking about voice, agency, process, product, and power. So some of these essays, some of these scholarly articles really address some of the power dynamics that happen when teachers and students start making media. Okay, so do you guys have any questions about that? It should be fun. Okay, so we're going to sign off like we always do because it's 8 o'clock and it's time to go. And so we are going to do the hang loose sign. Did we do this one? Have we done this one yet? Did we? Maybe not. Maybe we did. All right, we're doing it anyway. There you go. So hang loose, you guys. You're adorable. You're so cute. Have a great spring break. I'll see you on March 20th. Bye-bye.
Bye.